Super Saiyan Blue is far stronger than you think, and far stronger than the Super Saiyan Blue you think you know. Today I will explain to you why the power jump of Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan is so deadly from a Dragon Ball statistical standpoint. As we know from previous inverse scaling, particularly with domination multipliers, being 1.25 times to 2 times stronger than the opponent, you could start to overwhelm them to seriously tanking their ass. Now, despite me going into extreme detail about why I don't think Dragon Ball Super handled Super Saiyan Blue well, that doesn't change the fact that the multiplier of power behind Blue is relentless, so scary from a statistical standpoint, and I think it's one of the most broken forms in Dragon Ball history, especially with all the enhancements the form is fed throughout the anime and manga. But today I want to mainly focus on the anime. There aren't any official numbers and multipliers given to Super Saiyan God, but I explained that there could be 3 possible multipliers for God based on how you want to gauge it when comparing it to inverse stuff. These 3 multipliers were 400 trillion from base form, or 40 million from base form, or 10,000 from base form, depending on if you want to scale the God power using the Shockwave feat, or its comparison to Vegito, or its relevance to the Kefla fusion in the Tournament of Power. It's very inconsistent, so that's why I explained 3 ways. Either way you want to cut the cake, they all greatly exceed the 400 times multiplier of Super Saiyan 3. I won't explain any more on those numbers and how they came to be, but by looking at the views and reception of that video, you definitely need to check it out. Now, the power of Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Some think it's only the power of Super Saiyan 1 added to Super Saiyan God, and let me tell you why that isn't true and it's not possible. Let's use a theoretical number for Goku's base form. 10. The Super Saiyan multiplier would make that power 500. Now, even if we use the lowest Super Saiyan God multiplier I calculated, that being 10,000, that would give 100,000 for Super Saiyan God. Now, the reason why Blue isn't just Super Saiyan God plus Super Saiyan is because that would be 100,500, and that makes absolutely no difference to Super Saiyan God alone, which is 100,000. To be considered the next level from Super Saiyan God, Goku may as well use Super Saiyan God Kaioken times 2 to exceed a theoretical Blue this way. That's why it's not just an addition, but rather a Super Saiyan multiplier of the Super Saiyan God power. And by using the 3 potential multipliers of Super Saiyan God, they become the following amps from base form for Super Saiyan Blue. Now, I just want you to think about this for a second. How ridiculous this actually is. To be able to fully tank opponents unharmed, you need to disperse ki, or a level of power 2 times the opponent's attack. Just 2 times, where if you're 1.25 times stronger, there's a good chance you're going to win unless you get outsmarted. Imagine for one moment, you're having an equal battle with someone, and then out of nowhere, they get 20 quadrillion times stronger. Not 2 times, so your punches don't phase them anymore, 20 quadrillion times stronger. Is this the problem with multipliers and scaling? It seems broken enough to me. Either way, if you love power scaling and Dragon Ball that way, that's how much of a difference Super Saiyan Blue is from a statistical point of view. And even if you go with the 500,000 times jump from base form, Super Saiyan 3 is 400 times. But 500,000? That's insane, my friends. And it doesn't stop there. Let's add the Kaioken cherry on top. 20 times? Good heavens above. 400 quadrillion times multiplier from base form, or 400 billion or 10 million, using the other methods. From base form, and this is a base form that already absorbed the power of Super Saiyan God, so the difference in power compared to the beginning of Dragon Ball Super Goku is unbelievable. You can also apply these multipliers to Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, as that's seen as a counterpart to Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20. Alright, so we can feel that power bubbling. Now I want to give an honorable mention to the power of Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta versus Broly during the movie, because that was how Super Saiyan Blue should be portrayed. A mountain of hell, and holy hell is Broly strong for being able to adapt to a number of forms of Goku and Vegeta, but the fusion amp combined with Super Saiyan Blue made Gogeta look like a lion hunting its prey. I've talked about the fusion amp being A plus B then times 100 in the past. Check out my fusion video for the details why, but A plus B is the strongest of both parts, then times 100 because tens of times. It makes sense due to a number of sources, and fusion amps vary depending on the potential of each individual part. Now let's just cap Goku and Vegeta's power to Super Saiyan Blue for a low ball of Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta's power, because it gets complicated when you start talking about Mastered Blue evolutions or Ultra Instincts or Kaiokens. Let's use the multiplication of power of Super Saiyan Blue being 20 quadrillion for Goku, 20 quadrillion for Vegeta. Stacked together, that's 40 quadrillion of an increase from one base form. Then multiply by 100, you get 4 quintillion of an increase from one base form part. And this is only base form Gogeta. Respectively, using my other Super Saiyan Blue multipliers, base Gogeta could also be 400 billion or 100 million. And then you get 80 decillion times of an increase for Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta from base form Goku or Vegeta, or 800 quintillion or 50 trillion for my other methods. That is magnificent. Even though Broly was adapting to each new level of power, the jump from base Gogeta to Super Saiyan Blue was far too much of a climb, and Gogeta eventually broke Broly's ribcage. And nowadays, Goku is combining Super Saiyan Blue with Ultra Instinct. Like, what the hell? I don't even want to calculate what that generates in terms of power. It's getting ridiculous. I know there are inconsistencies in Dragon Ball, especially when it comes to firing lasers through God powers, or other fighters without God power matching God powers. It's all for cinematics and drama. Dragon Ball makes no sense, but on paper, Super Saiyan Blue is a powerhouse, and if you want to get serious in your versus battles, you could blitz a lot of the competition out of the water in Dragon Ball using Super Saiyan Blue, especially when you go by the good old domination multipliers. Blue is absolutely broken and can never be repaired. Super Saiyan Blue is actually the greatest natural Saiyan transformation in the Dragon Ball Super continuity, both anime and manga. There is no other transformation above it in terms of Saiyan-only parameters. You could argue God is the best natural state if you wanted to in terms of balance, but let's be honest, Dragon Ball is about power now more than ever. Blue's increase in power and speed from God totally overshadows the lack of stamina problems now. Originally known as Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, it's a heightened transformation unique to the members of the Saiyan race, a hybrid version of God and the original Super Saiyan form. Goku actually describes it literally as that, the Super Saiyan form of Super Saiyan God. Goku and Vegeta mastered God Ki to become a Super Saiyan God. Goku with the ritual first, but later on no longer requiring the ritual of 5 other Saiyans to elevate into the Super Saiyan God realms. Originally, Goku would become a Super Saiyan God with the help of 5 other Saiyans. At that time, Goku was mortal. The other 5 with Saiyan blood were also mortal. They performed the Saiyan ritual, and that was all that was required. 6 mortal Saiyans. The power came from all of them. No magical god appeared above them in the heavens and pointed the finger to Goku and said, "I grant you the power." No, the power came from the mortal Saiyans, thus making the ritual a natural mortal situation for the Saiyans. Does it feel magical? Of course it does. But you cannot deny 6 mortal Saiyans did this alone. Despite being very rare, it is genetically natural. Anyone could have been the Super Saiyan God as long as the conditions were set with 5 other Saiyans. Further down the line, Goku and Vegeta would be able to use Super Saiyan God in the anime and manga, where it was stated Vegeta obtained the transformation on his own, thus further strengthening the case that Super Saiyan God is completely natural to Saiyan blood. It just required the right type of training and potential unlocking, that being Goku and Vegeta's mastery of their own ki to a divine level. We have to remember this, the potential of Goku and Vegeta was already there. Whis only trained and guided them to explore their potential even further, the power they already had. Whis didn't give them any power, that was all Goku and Vegeta's power, and plot armor. So Saiyan God is indeed natural, and can be obtained later on just by ki control. The name Super Saiyan God was always a terrible name in general. It made much more sense to be called Saiyan God. The Super Saiyan part now brings us to the next point though, and that relating to the original Super Saiyan transformation. Now like I said, Blue combines the 2 huge legends, where the original Super Saiyan form was centered around being an emotionally driven transformation. Obviously tingly concepts and bargain sales ruin that down the line, but Super Saiyan God was a form centered on the user's ki being wielded at the divine level, undetected by regular ki users, thus pushing their strength to the next level. Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God were almost completely different in the way they used their ki. I always saw Super Saiyan as external ki usage and God as internal ki usage, focused and controlled for stronger hits. But in terms of looks, does the palette swap Blue stand up to the original golden look and the newer leaner godly red? Well, you could say it's the third piece to the puzzle. Red, yellow and blue, primary colors. It's simple, lazy but simple. But for some reason, when I first saw Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, I thought it was a nice balance of Goku maintaining some of his muscle whilst appearing to have a different kind of internally flowing aura, but still having the iconic Super Saiyan 1 hairstyle, but with a tranquil blue look. The simplicity was nice, and I do respect that part of Blue. I just wish the writing handled it with more prestige. Does this type of transformation suit a Saiyan by nature? Suit is up for debate. It's whatever you believe Saiyans are to be by nature. All we know is that Saiyans were brutes, hungry conquering pirates who had a lust for war. Calm, tranquil forms definitely doesn't suit that. But what about Saiyans hundreds and thousands of years ago? Okay, let's go back even further than Yamoshi for this. Maybe a type of Saiyan way before these ones had a similar genetic code, but perhaps they were far more peaceful. I mean, just imagine Universe 6 Saiyans, that sort of temperament. I mean, look at humans these days on Earth. More humans than ever before sit on one computer and have almost non-active lifestyles. That was never built into our DNA. We were fighters and survivors hundreds and thousands of years ago, so maybe the Super Saiyan Blue form, the combination of the two legendary forms in the Saiyan genetic code, maybe it suits what Saiyans truly were back then. And what better way to support that? It's stronger than God, and it's stronger than the original Super Saiyan, so why not? Unless, of course, Blue is something never seen before in the Saiyan genetic code, and it's purely an evolution, thanks to Goku and Vegeta. Which brings me to the variations of Super Saiyan Blue, the perfected Blue and the evolution. Now, you could actually say both of these are still natural to Saiyans, they are just enhanced versions of the Blue already there. In the manga, both Goku and Vegeta demonstrate perfected Blue, and in the anime, I think we see in the manga too, Vegeta using the Blue evolution. And that truly means Vegeta has the best natural Saiyan form to date. So there's a Vegeta win there for you guys. Goku has Ultra Instinct, but it ain't no Saiyan form. Vegeta got the top state of the Saiyan so far in the Super continuity, but what about the Blue Kaioken? Well, again, it's still the regular Blue, and you could argue the Kaioken is not really a natural ability for Saiyans. Well, it's not, but as an ability, it's not natural for anybody to double, triple, 20 times the power outside of its regular limits. The Kaioken was already broken, and not really supposed to be utilized, so Vegeta still owns the top spot for having the best natural Saiyan transformation. But what about Super Saiyan Rose? Well, despite being the equal to Super Saiyan Blue, it's actually different because instead of a mortal Saiyan who obtains God Ki, Rose is the form taken by a Saiyan who is purely divine. Being purely divine is unnatural. It's a divine being as a whole, not someone mortal who trained to obtain God Ki like Goku and Vegeta, so Rose is not actually a natural Saiyan state, despite being the equivalent to Blue. You could consider it to be the best, but it definitely has certain parameters that doesn't class it as natural. Overall, Super Saiyan Blue is the best natural form of the Saiyans to date in terms of Dragon Ball Super continuity. It has surpassed all of the other forms before it by a large margin. But unfortunately, the power of the gods and angels with Ultra Instinct is now overshadowing Super Saiyan Blue, making it more irrelevant with each passing chapter. I only wish Blue was treated with far more prestige and love, looked after in the storytelling, so when it does arrive it gets the job done, but we didn't get too much of that at all. I know they tried to make its usage well timed in terms of saving the blue power to face stronger enemies, but when it did show up, the impact just wasn't there like when you felt the power of Super Saiyan on Namek, or the upgrade from Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan God. And deep down, I truly like Super Saiyan Blue for what it is meant to symbolize, but despite the bad writing for Blue, we cannot deny, in Dragon Ball Super anyway, Super Saiyan Blue is the best natural Saiyan state right now.